short version is, you're a successful agent here. Let me fix the little comment so I can see it. If anybody has any comments or questions along the way, just click on the link in the chat and we'll be more than happy to try and answer your question for you. This is Mr. Kevin Hyde, who lives in Florida. And Kevin's been an agent. We're going to talk about how long he's been an agent, how he sells, but he's sold somewhere around 350 policies in the handful of years he's been with us. And we're going to walk through that process and ask a lot of, in detail questions, and hopefully we can learn something for everybody. But one of the things about Kevin is that he's a part-time agent.
Yep.
And he has a full-time job in one of the busiest restaurants literally in the world, for one of the largest, most well-known chains in the world. So he's got a real job. He doesn't screw around. He works hard all day. I've been there, and that's a very busy restaurant. It's a lot of time, energy, and effort. And he's one of the managers there and key people there. And he's been there for some time. But the point is that he's been able to do that and balance his own personal life and be a successful Medicare agent. And I think that's one of the main reasons I wanted to talk to you and interview you and provide this for other agents is, so often on these social media channels and all these, everybody's focusing on these guys that are selling 500 a year or whatever, 500 a month or whatever they claim. The vast majority of agents are 10 a month, 15 a month. In fact, a high-performing agent in Medicare in the top 5% is about 15 a month or more. And you've been able to do that consistently for several years now on your average. And we're going to talk about how you've done that to be such a high-performing agent with a full-time job. And I think that's an important thing to talk about. How can you possibly do it? So tell us about yourself, where you're from, how many kids, family, all that good stuff. And let's do this.
Yeah, let's go. I'm 43 years old. I live in Fort Myers, Florida. 2 kids, 2 daughters, Emma and Grace. Emma is 18, first year of college right now. My daughter Grace is 16. She's a junior in high school. She keeps me very busy. But yeah, getting outer bands of a hurricane right now, but it's going north of us. Thank the Lord, because we just got pounded last year and we still haven't fully recovered yet. So I don't know what would happen if we got hit with another one. But
there's one coming up on this side of the coast up here as well. I see. Way out
way out there. I don't think it's going to come near. But I did prior to doing insurance. So right now I am a full-time restaurant manager. Prior to that, I was in retail management for a long time, 4 years in the Marine Corps. That's how we met. Semper Fi to any Marines that might be out there. But then before that, I was a high school and college student. So, not much to tell before my time in the Marine Corps. But, I'm a pretty simple, laid back guy. I like to golf a lot, like to go to the shooting range and spend time with the family and work a lot.
Now, how do you spend most of your Saturdays in the fall? Saturday afternoon in the fall. Come on, brother. Let's let them have it.
Saturdays afternoon are spent watching Notre Dame football.
On the Notre Dame broadcasting channel.
Yes, sir. Notre Dame football consumes me in the fall.
You can give your heart to God, but your ass belongs to Lou Holt.
That's right. Listen, I was in Pigeon Forge for, I'm a big Jeep guy. I was in Pigeon Forge this last weekend for the Great Smoky Mountain Jeep Invasion. Not Saturday. Saturday, I was glued to the TV watching Notre Dame football and the FedEx Championship all day. So I've got my priorities in order when it comes to that.
So you and I met a long time ago, well before insurance. Tell everybody how we met. You kind of just briefly mentioned it, but.
Yeah, Marine Corps. I was 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines. I was in the weapons platoon, and you were platoon commander, I believe, 2nd platoon.
3rd.
And 3rd platoon. I'm sorry, 2nd platoon. We used to detach the 2nd platoon a lot, Lieutenant Scott. But you and I spent a lot of time together, and that's kind of how we met. And after my stint in the Marine Corps, I got out in 2003 and kind of found you back on social media, and we've been kind of connected ever since.
How many years were you in the Marine Corps? Was it 4?
4 years, 99 to 03.
Yeah, I was so dumb. I stayed in 22 years.
Yeah, it worked out all right for you, I guess.
Contract. Now, so we met in about, I think it was 2001-ish.
Yep, 2001.
Not far after September 11th timeframe, I think.
Well, actually, I think it would have been 2002. I was in security forces in Georgia for 9/11. That was pretty interesting. And then I PCS to Camp Pendleton in December of 2022. So I got it right. I took my leave and I got there right at the beginning of 2022. Yeah. So 2021 I left security forces. So
yeah. And so we were in the infantry together. We used to do all that fun stuff.
My years are all messed up.
Yeah, that's fine. That's how we first met. Now, when did you get your license and get involved in insurance? How did you get started? All that good stuff. Like,
Well, honestly, so I got my license in either late 2020, I think late 2020, early 2021, maybe. And I got it. I would see your posts on Facebook talking about it, and to be honest with you, I was like, yeah, sales isn't my gig. I need to know how much I'm making each and every week, and I didn't really think it was a thing. And you were just always persistent, never directly, directing it towards me. We just put it out there, what you were doing. You're looking to help people, and finally, I just said, he's a smart guy. I remember you were a smart guy. I go, let me talk to him. And I remember we set up a half-hour phone call, which we ended up on the phone for about 4 hours, and I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. And then COVID hit and kind of delayed everything. And then about as we were coming out of COVID, I kind of refocused on it, and here I am.
Yeah. So you got licensed. What year actually was it?
Oh man, I think I got my license in early or late 2020, right before AEP, because I remember I was like, yo, I'm licensed, and you're like, oh, great job. And you're like,
Yeah,
it's
that was
gonna get nuts for me, and I was like, all right. So we kind of waited till really after OEP of 2021, because I remember I got my first lead in April of 2021, right after OEP. So
okay, so let's go with that, April 2021. And just full disclosure, are you an employee of us, or are you your own independent agent, your own business owner?
I'm an independent agent.
There you go. I just wanted to put that out there because I know you have the logo and everything behind you, and I don't want people thinking, you're.
It is a nice logo. I like it.
Well, thank you very much. We like it. That was designed by our own team, actually, and that whole thing you in the background there is designed by our own team. So I'm not as cool as you. I just have my wall behind me, so up my game. So you're an independent agent, and you've been with us really since April of 2021.
Right.
And since that time, you've signed up roughly how many people? A good roundabout number.
Roughly 350.
Wow. So if we're doing the math, that puts you at about a 15 a month average. Because that puts you at about 48 months, I think it is, or 28 months. 28 months is about 2.5 years.
Right.
So 2 years in April plus 4 or 5 months. So 28 months. So yeah, that's about 15 a month average. That's why I wanted an interview, because you do have a full-time job as a as a manager of a very busy restaurant, and you do this. So the bottom line is, how the heck do you do it? And I know the answer.
Yeah.
But we're going to go into details that, maybe in the advance when I sent you all my questions, I didn't tell you what we're going to go into, but I want people to know how you're doing it. So
right.
You're in the top 5%, really the top 2 or 3% of agents with your production with a full-time job. And I think everybody wants to know how we do this. So how do you do it?
Man, it can be rough sometimes. It's a struggle. It's a grind. It takes a lot of work ethic. I have my calendar set up, like when I'm on my days off, this is what I do for 8 to 10 hours a day. When I work, my schedules vary. If I go in at 4, I'm doing it from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And if I open, I'm home by 6. From 6:30 to 9, I'm taking calls and making calls.
So your professional work life outside of your business with Medicare, you have varying hours. Is that safe to say?
Right.
You're not that 9 to 5 deal.
No.
So you can literally work from this shift for 8 to 10 hours or whatever it ends up being to wow. So that's even so the consistency there is hard because we have to work around your schedule, or you have to work around your schedule with the Medicare people as well.
Right.
That brings up a whole nother bag of questions of how the heck do you do this? And so you mostly sell on the weekends for Medicare, or?
No, I don't sell on Sundays unless it's AEP, and at OEP I'll do Sundays as well. But mainly it's Monday through Saturday, and working around my restaurant schedule, which can be kind of hectic. I'm putting in probably between 55 and 65 hours a week there. Sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more, depending on what's going on.
55 to 65 hours a week.
Yep. And here, with this, I'm putting in at least a solid anywhere between 20 and maybe 30 hours a week on top of that.
So you're working.
I'm working. I'm grinding. And I've got goals in place. And I need to do what I can do to get there. And it's been a grind, but it's starting to pay off. And I can kind of see my future starting to blossom a little bit now. But then I'm a full-time dad. Got 2 kids. That are doing a lot of things too. So my schedule changes a lot based on what's going on. But at the end of the day, if I'm not with my kids or at my other job, this is what I'm doing. I try to make time for golf here and there, but that's about it.
You hit under 85 in the range golfing, or yeah, okay, never
What?
mind.
We don't have to bring that up, do we?
85.
No, I'm like a 17 handicap. I'm not a great golfer, but I'm not horrible. The trees like me because I'm always in them.
So what struggles have you had along the way in your journey, balancing your professional life, your personal life, your life as an insurance agent? I mean, that's a lot of work, brother. 80 some hours a week
Yeah.
doing this combined. And then, you got to sleep and eat and all the other stuff. So, I mean, how tell us about your struggles.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing we kind of hit on a little bit ago is time management. You can only fit so much into a day or into a week, and you just have to really find that sweet spot, what works for you. My schedule is not going to work for everybody, but I found a schedule that does work well for me. And things come up last minute with the kids or whatnot, and I have to reschedule some appointments here and there. But really, time management. I think the biggest struggle I had was just hearing no, rejection. I took it personally for a long time. I don't get it. Like, why are you saying, and you take it personally. You get pissed off, but then you learn as you get more and more experience, kind of just roll with it. And I still hear no, but a lot of those no's end up calling me back later. It's a good thing. Yeah. Oh yeah.
So let's talk about that, because I think this is something that's important to talk about. So you get rejected from somebody, and you're saying at some point of time later on, they'll contact you back and you'll still sign them up.
Yeah. And, part of that's another thing that makes you successful is just being consistent with your presentation. And I think the biggest thing too is being genuine with people. Like I've had people that I've walked through the entire process, and either they've determined or I'll even help them determine, hey, what we have available right now is not the best thing for you. The plan you're in now is the best thing for you. But then 6 months down the road, something changes, they move. They get a new medication that's maybe not in their formulary or something like that, and they give me a call and say, hey, can we go back over what we talked about, because my circumstances have changed, and I'm kind of interested in what we were talking about before. So I get a lot of phone calls like that as well. And I found that, in the beginning was just being genuine with people and letting them know that you're there to help them out. Yeah, this is how you make a living, but you're not here to mess with anybody's healthcare. You're here to genuinely help people. And they can sense that when you're talking to them. And I've had a lot of people that have said no, but have given me referrals or called me back to sign up later, called me back to ask questions and help them out. And, down the road, it pays off as well. So, I mean, it's never just a quick hang up when you realize it's not going to work out. Just, you want to move on to the next call, but get them off the phone gently, be genuine with them, and people respect that, and they tend to come back.
Yeah, let's jump into that in a little bit more detail. But just for anybody watching, whether you're on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, the Facebook group there, if you have a comment or a question, please throw it in there, and I'll do my best to ask Kevin the question so that we can do our thing. But did you have a sales background before you started? There you go.
No, I had a customer service background because I was in retail and restaurants, but not a sales background. I had zero sales experience.
So other than, hey, do you want fries with that? That's about all you're.
Yeah, pretty much. Or hey, why'd you send us back? What can I do for you? But you know what? That meant the mentality of just trying to help people out and come to a good resolution for them kind of translate. But yeah, selling, no experience whatsoever.
Okay, so do you think Medicare is selling, or how is your view on this? Is it telling? Is it educating?
It's educating. It's 100%. And that's kind of how I go into. You're educating them on their options and trying to help them make a good decision for them. And I think one of the crazy parts about it too, and this is where the education really comes into play, is when people are hell bent on, my neighbor has this, my sister has this, my brother has this, and I want it. And you say, well, let's talk about that. And then, it's not a one size fits all kind of deal. And you come to sometimes it does work out, but a lot of times it's, hey, you're on a different set of medications, or you have a totally different set of doctors. That plan's not going to work for you. So you just really educating them on all their options. And that's kind of where then it turns into a sales process after that.
Okay. Now, are you selling it mostly in person or mostly over the phone?
100% over the phone.
So never in person, all over the phone.
Eventually I would like to get there, but yeah, right now I'm 100% over the phone.
Okay. And we got a couple of questions. Well, number one, are you licensed in other states other than Florida? And I know you are. Tell everybody how many states, roughly, best guess you have in terms of states at this point.
I'm licensed in, right now I'm licensed in 48 states and DC.
Yeah, so 48 states and DC. There you go. What state are you now? New York?
No, Massachusetts and Hawaii.
Yeah, okay. You need to get Hawaii so we can do a little tax deductible trip down there. So if there's any Hawaii agents, I'd love to have you in our
Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea.
Train you personally.
Not a bad idea.
enough cover the cost. Okay, so the next question. So we got about 48 states, basically 50 licenses, 49 licenses. Where do you get your leads, and how? So where do you lead generation? Like, how do you do all that? How does that work? Everybody over and over. I got 3 questions about leads. Let's go over. I know it's a question everybody wants to know. Everybody asks me the same question. So
Yeah.
do your thing.
I get my leads from you through AMS. I pay for my leads. And you can kind of get more into detail about that, but the way it's set up works out really, really well. Different packages for different level of agents and who want, you really can work with anybody on how much their ad spend. I think I started at $10 or $15 a day in ad spend, and I'm up to $50 a day now in ad spend. And eventually I'd like to get to, 100 plus a day in ad spend. And when I'm full time and really kind of cranking the leads and go at it.
So I know that's what everybody wants to know. We're going to jump into leads some more. And again, bottom line, you're buying them from us and we're providing the leads to you. Somebody just asked about ad spend. You started with, let's just say you had no money, right? Fair
no money.
Yeah.
I had a little bit of savings, and that's pretty much what I used to get me going.
Yeah, I mean, you're a dad working at a restaurant. It's not like you're making $1 million a year. You have kids to take care of, truck payments, car payments, electrical payments, and you jumped into this business on faith to some degree. And you didn't have a lot of money. A lot of agents don't have money to start up. I didn't. I started, believe it or not, the business that I have today, I don't say it very often, but I started with $600 and I just kept reinvesting that money. I mean, truly, it was truly.
I was probably about the same as you were when I started.
But like you, one of the things that we had is I had an income outside of this business to help allow me to keep reinvesting into the business a little bit. I was living on some peanuts. I'm sure you were as well, but I was able to just slowly build it and slowly build it. And so Mr. Fromm has a question about, are you licensed in each state exchange? Well, we're talking about Medicare in general. His question, I believe, is related to ACA. Do you have an ACA FFM certification?
Yeah, I do.
So, and bottom line, the short version is you're going to focus on FFM states this fall and all that. Do you have an ACA? Yep. Do you have an ACA book of business?
I do.
And that's mostly in-person sales. If I'm
ACA is all in person.
Local
for sure.
in person. Yeah.
Yep.
And you make a decent little bit amount of money, and I know you're reinvested. Right.
Yep. It's not bad. Yeah.
And you're going to have a massive fall. I can tell you that. This is a very important question. Real quick. So do you do any events or virtual events? It's back to the leads again, I guess. It's kind of the same.
Yeah. No, I haven't really done any events. That's something that will be coming up in the near future, especially as we get into the fall and winter months in Florida. There are a lot of different things going on where you can put up a tent and what have you. So that's something I'm going to work into my future plans.
So you have ACA over here, and you have done local in-person things for that, where you're talking to people that you know and you sign them up. So we do some things as we break this down.
Yeah.
But the bulk of your money and your revenue comes from, at the end of the day, you're buying leads from us, is what you're doing.
Right.
But this is for people out there. This is not a commercial buy leads for me. I don't like selling leads, to be blunt, but this is not what this whole thing is about.
Right.
I want to break it down because you do have a very successful agent here who works full-time and part-time as a Medicare agent. By the way, are you still thinking about going full-time or?
Yes.
Oh,
my timeline has shifted a little bit. I remember that was one of the big advices you gave me when we started was like, hey, it's going to take you a couple of years. I was like, oh no, things are going to be great. I'm going to do this like ASAP. And here we are, literally, 2 years later, 2.5 years later, and I want to take that leap. I was planning to take that leap this AEP. I think I'm going to push it back till early first quarter, maybe 2024. But it's coming. It's coming.
I can agree with that. Have I talked you out of quitting your day job?
Oh yeah, yeah. You've talked me off the ledge a couple times, multiple times, Joe.
Folks, if you're part-time, don't quit your day job.
There's no way I could have done this without my full-time income. No way.
Right. Medicare is not, it's being sold by all these IMOs, everybody out there, as a get-rich-quick thing. But would you agree with the statement that Medicare is not a quick-rich scheme? It's a get-rich-slow scheme.
Yes.
That's right. It's a get-rich-slow thing. And I say that it takes 3 renewal years. You have to be in your 3rd year of renewal personally, in my opinion, unless you just come out of the gate swinging, which is hard to do because of money and all the resources needed to do it. It takes 3 years of renewals before I think you go quit your day job. So there's a question here about AMS from Mr. Fromm. AMS is a marketing company that I own. I'm probably I'm debating on whether I want to just get rid of it altogether and just put everything under Patriot or whatever. But AMS is a company that I own. It's a marketing firm, and I have debated on that. But we'll talk about what it does. It's not like I'm going to stop doing what I'm doing. I just might, for legal purposes, because the accountant's telling me to do things, I might just shift it over. How do you know? Great question here from I don't know who, but how do you know when you're ready to quit your day job? And for you, what does that mean? Like, how much money and revenue do you need to bring in for you?
Roughly about 1.5 times of what I'm making with my day job. And the reason why I say 1.5 times, because a lot of people might think, well, what if you're bringing in the same amount? Well, in this business, you have to spend money to make money. So I've got to be able to spend money on lead generation. I've got to be able to spend money on marketing events and things like that to help sustain the business. So you have to be able to, live comfortably on what you're used to making, but you have to have that extra revenue coming in to expand your business. So I'm looking at 1.5 times of what I'm making now.
So one of the things I like about you is, even though you're part-time, you truly understand this is a numbers game and you have your numbers. And that answer that you just gave is probably the most intelligent answer that I've heard from any agent on any group, maybe ever, because nobody really truly wants to get into the hardcore numbers. So what you're saying is, if you're making $50,000 and that's in your personal life, and that's the job that you're making and you're comfortable in and you can live on that income, you truly need to bring in $75,000 in your Medicare business, because you're going to take $25,000 of that, using that math, and you're going to be reinvesting that into your business.
Right.
Using that. Okay. So 1.5 times your income needs to then put in 0.5, or, well, I guess it'd be 1/3 in that example, of the money right back into your business to keep it flowing. Okay. Love it. That's a great thing. So hopefully everybody heard that. So what he's saying is he needs 1.5 times his annual income from his Medicare sales and his ACA sales to then, in his mind, be able to resign from his job and move on.
Exactly.
Unless you have like a 25-year-old spouse that you're married to with a great job. Just kidding. Yeah. Are you married?
I'm not married.
Lady.
That's why I'm so happy, guys. No, I'm kidding.
What's it like doing anything you want without, never mind, I won't go there. My wife's probably wife.
It's pretty good.
Do whatever you want. Okay, so I love that. Bluntly, what do you spend per month what did you start at spending per month total out of pocket when you first got started?
Whatever the math was, I was spending $15 a day roughly in ad spend. Can't even tell you what that is.
Whatever. That's $1,500 a month, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, roughly. And then
it's not even,
right now I'm spending roughly $3,000 a month.
So you were spending $450, $500 a month, and now you're spending about $3,000 a month.
Right.
And what do you get for $3,000 a month?
I get, a good portion that goes to my lead generation, and the rest pretty much goes to the virtual assistants and, some administrative costs, my CRM, things like that. But that's another thing too. I mean, so working full time.
Wait a minute, you have virtual assistants?
Yeah, I've got virtual assistants. They love me. I love them. I love them more than they love me. Trust me.
You love them more than they love you.
Guaranteed.
Hey, buddy, I love them more than I love you.
No, I get that 100%. I mean, they get it done. You wake up and you have appointments on your calendar. You're at work. You can't respond to everybody, and they're setting appointments for you, letting you know what's going on. It's a beautiful thing.
And somebody just asked, do you do any seminars? No, he doesn't do any seminars. This is all over the phone. And he does do some local ACA outreach for people that he knows in the local community. But in terms of Medicare, everything is over the phone. And we covered that a little bit earlier. I know you missed it. So you have virtual assistants. What I heard is you have leads coming in, you have virtual assistants, and you have a CRM.
I do.
There you go. And anything else that we should pull out? How many hours a day do your virtual assistants work for you?
24.
So 24 hours a day, how many days a week?
7 days a week.
7 days a week. And that's got to be expensive. So you're telling me, for how much do you pay your virtual assistants? They want to know that. So
I think I know.
What's that?
I believe it's
you can
25 at $25 a day.
Yeah, you're definitely wrong, Ross.
Oh. I don't know.
No. Let's just explain it for everybody, because I know everybody wants to know the answer to this question. So I have a whole bunch of virtual assistants that are employees of mine. I pay them. Kevin pays me to ensure that he has a virtual assistant working for him 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. and everything is done through us as Patriot. Kevin, do you manage any virtual assistants?
Nope, not
Who
at all.
does it? Who does it?
I'm assuming it's you because it ain't me.
Yeah, it's me and one of our key virtual assistants who does it, who's a real blessing to us all. But yeah, that's correct, and they do a wonderful job. Now, where are they located at?
Philippines.
So we have virtual assistants from Canada, from the Philippines, from India, and even some from Pakistan. I have people from literally all over the world, but for what supports Kevin and our agents, we have virtual assistants. Those ones are located in the Philippines. I go there every year, usually for a couple of weeks. We host a nice big convention for them. I can tell you they're extremely well paid. None of them ever quit, and we have a waiting list of people to come on anytime we want, because we are probably one of the highest paying companies in all of the Philippines. Bluntly, we pay 7.5 times more in income than the average income of the Philippines. So, and there's way more than that, including when I take them to 5-star resorts and treat them like, the kings and queens that they are. But so that's how we do that. And again, somebody asked the question, so you're paying $3,000 a month. How many policies do you write? How many have you written since you started? And you haven't always paid $3,000 a month, but that's what you're paying now.
No, I haven't always paid $3,000 a month. Roughly 350 policies I've written since I've started. Somewhere in there. I average about 15 a month. If I write less than 15 a month, I consider that month a failure, and just on me. Like, I like to get to that 15 a month to really hit my number, and then during AEP, I'm somewhere between 75 and 90 during AEP.
Policies sold, like people sold, like new people, not okay.
Yep.
What is your highest month you've ever done? I have no idea.
It would definitely be during AEP. I believe it was 35, and then my highest non-AEP month was 22.
So you wrote 35 policies in AEP in 1 month?
I think that was actually the November month of AEP.
That would be probably last November.
Yeah, last November.
Yeah, I spent a king's fortune that month on leads, and still killing me. But so
Thank you.
Yeah. So you had mentioned a match. We do a match in that system. Everybody's different because everybody has a different thing going on. But the short version is we do a match for you. You know this. I typically match your ad spend with us at 100%. So if you're giving me $50 a day, I'm giving you $50 a day, as long as you're selling and hitting numbers that I like to hit. And I do that because, in full disclosure, obviously we're getting overrides, and that's what overrides are for. But by the way, do you get any overrides from me?
I do not.
No. And so many agents come in here and want to have overrides, and they sell 5 policies a year, and you're selling 150 to 200 a year, because the override, while you're not getting an override, you're getting the money back in the form of the lead system and everything else for that.
Right.
It's how, when you first started, you started at about $15 to $25 a day.
Yeah, it was 15 for the first few months. Yeah.
Right. And that certainly didn't pay for virtual assistants, and that certainly didn't cover a CRM. And that was Sean hooking up a fellow Marine, because I knew you were going to do it. The entire system was set up based on my Marine Corps experience and the years I spent planning. And I won't even go into all that, but the system was meant to be for somebody like you. And I don't know that I can plug and play everybody into it. And I don't know that I want to plug and play everybody into it, because, it is what it is. But let me ask you this question. How many leads does it take for you? Do you have any idea, by the way, how many leads you have in your CRM, like, ever?
There's a number up there. I couldn't tell you straight off the bat, but I bet you're about to.
Funny, I know that answer. Yeah. So you're pulling in about, on average, some months you're going to do way more than, and some months you're going to do way less, kind of depending. But it takes about, let me ask you this. What percentage of close? Because I think this is a great question that so many people get wrong. And I'm going to frame it a little bit differently, like this. So many agents come in and they want to get 10 leads. And from those 10 leads, they want to sell 45 people. So out of 100 leads that you get, how many would you say you legitimately close? Like, what would be,
If I had 100 leads, I would say legitimately probably 15.
I would say that's generous. I would say agency-wide, we're at 8%, which means you're closing 8 out of 100. The reason why you're 15 is you're more experienced at this point. We've had as low as 4% or 3.5%, I think it was, and that agent was still profitable. So, it does work. So good there. Are you profitable, bluntly?
Yeah, I'm very profitable. Yeah.
How has this business changed your life? You started with not a whole lot. Like, can you give example, like how has it changed your life, I guess?
Man, it's maybe just a lot more financially stable. I've been able to do things with my family and for my family that I haven't been able to do in the past. I bought my daughter a truck a couple of years ago. She had one. It broke down and wasn't really worth it too much. And I had a lot of money laying around. I was like, let's go buy you a truck. It wasn't a brand new truck, but it's a good truck. She's had it now for about a year and a half, drives it to college and back. I helped my youngest daughter buy her truck, stroked a nice little check to my daughter's college to help pay for her tuition. And really, just whenever somebody needs something, I'm able to do it and put a lot of money into savings, help grow my business a little bit and not struggle. I still have my full-time money coming in that pays my bills and I'm able to do a little bit with that, but I'm able to live a life that I wasn't able to live before and be comfortable and not stressed, about what am I going to do if something happens. Right now, if the engine of my Jeep blew up, I know I could put a new engine in it or I could go buy a new Jeep,
Did you pay cash for the truck?
Oh yeah. Just stroke the check. Go boom.
So you have a Jeep and your two daughters have trucks?
Yep.
You're definitely a Florida redneck for sure.
And I'm gonna tell you this, and outside of that, there's no way I could afford. And this was a very eye-opening to me. No way I could afford the insurance on those things. After I added my daughters to my insurance and I saw what it did to my insurance bill, I called my mom and I was like, "Thank you," because I had no idea what it was going to be like. And I know I was a horrible teen driver. I got in a wreck, got a speeding ticket. I know that insurance rate was high. I had a sister who had a car, so yeah, it made me appreciate how much my parents spent on us growing up. Once that happened, I wouldn't be able to afford that without this.
And I have never told you this, but one of the proudest moments I've had as your upline, because I know where you started and I know you didn't have a lot, was when you bought your oldest daughter, I believe it was her, that truck. And I knew you had paid cash. I just wanted everybody to hear that. For me, it was a proud moment because I could have sat here for years, and I'll say this, I guess, I would have made millions of dollars, and I still, I'm not poor. I would have made millions just working kind of by myself. And, why did I start my agency and why did I start what I have now? I definitely didn't have you in mind. It was my son's football team, actually. And there was these young kids, they're all graduating from high school. And, there was a day when we had factories, and if a guy didn't want to go get go to college or whatever, he could make some money and earn a living and raise his family. You just can't do that today. And without going on done all that, I saw all these kids that were just incredible kids and football players and all that. And, I was coaching and all that. And I just said, I got to help these kids. And so I started what I did and what you are now doing with that in mind. What I found is that along the way, it's people like you that really want it. It's not necessarily the young kids, but that is how I designed it. So let's going to get to some questions here from Mr. Fromm. So you do roughly 15 a month on average. What percentage is MAPD, MedSup, and Part D? Like what percentage is MedSup? What percentage is MAPD at this point for you?
That's actually really easy to answer. I've sold 5 Part D plans in the 2.5 years I've been doing it, 0 MedSups, and all MAPD or MA only plans.
Yeah. And that is a product of the way we advertise for those particular leads that you happen to be working. In my office, we're about 50-50 with people that are in person. When we do seminars, we do lots of seminars in our area and all over the state and all that. Half will buy and half a supplement and half will buy a drug plan, or an MAPD or, and all that. And of course, a large chunk of those will buy multiple other plans. But that's from T65 seminars and seminars in general. When you're over the phone, it's a little harder, I think, to do supplements. The lead generation is just different. But, we have focused early on MAPD, and we did that for a reason. And I did that because I believe the market capacity is 80%. And right now it's still at about 50%, meaning about half of the 60 million people in the United States have an Advantage plan and half have original Medicare. And I believe that it's going to go to 80%. I've seen others throw out 60% and so on. Look, I know my numbers aren't wrong. It's going to 80%. And it's simple. 8 out of 10 people over 65 or above have no money, and they're 100% dependent on Social Security. And
can't afford that stuff.
They cannot afford a med supplement. But frankly, they can't afford any payments with an Advantage plan. But their mindset is, okay, I'd rather have these benefits for nothing and figure it out later than pay $150 a month for a supplement. I always tell everybody that 100% of the time they should buy a supplement. But if they cannot afford the premium, get a Medicare Advantage plan. That's my personal opinion on how I approach the world. And we tell that to everybody. But a lot of people are choosing Advantage today. And it's going to get more and more and more, despite what all these organizations want to do and what people are saying. When I did my financial security license, I really studied the market, and the market at that time was about 30% Advantage and 70% original Medicare, and the numbers are not lying, and there still is happening every day. And this is why it's the greatest opportunity, maybe in our lifetime, to earn this kind of money, or any kind of money you can truly make, where you can really have a significant impact on your financial wallet. And that is 8 out of 10 people who are 65 and above are 100% dependent on Social Security. They simply can't afford what they've been promised, and they're angry. And the bottom line is they're going to go into Medicare Advantage one way, shape, or another. And there's nothing anybody can do to stop it, because I won't go into the politics of Social Security and all the things that happened there and how these people got robbed. But the bottom line, they have no money and they can't afford a Medicare supplement. Some are just doing it because they have no choice. In some markets, for example, I was talking with an agent in Montana. They don't have great Advantage plans there. So it does depend on where you live. But as the carriers go into new markets, there's going to be a lot of people, signing up for those plans. So great answer there. 50 or 100% for you, MedSup over the phone, Med Advantage over the phone.
Yep.
Do you have okay, so you didn't have experience selling. Do you have a script, or how does that work? How did you learn how to do all that, I guess?
Yeah. Script.
Yeah. Where did you get the script from?
From you.
So we have a script that we give agents, and we go through. Have you had compliance issues?
Zero.
So it's a compliant script that we follow, and knock on wood, we won't have any compliance issues.
No, sir.
Insurance is crazy down here. I'm guessing that's Florida. It is crazy. I'll tell you, I love Florida though. Lots of Medicare Advantage, lots of seniors, lots of everything, lots of money down there, lots of annuities, lots of life insurance, and lots of good weather, except for maybe right now.
Now, yeah.
What CRM are you using? Again, what do we use?
Our CRM?
Yeah.
Lead connector, I believe it's called, or that's what it says on my phone anyways.
We do what everybody else is doing. I was actually one of the beta users of the Go High Level system long before you.
Yeah, I love it. There you go.
When a lot of the influencers were out there peddling it, and they have them out there. I've been using Go High Level for some time. I have all of our agents are linked into our system so that we can put the leads in there and help control that process for them. What do you pay for that? Do you know?
$99 a month.
Pay $99 a month, and then for any messaging, texting, and all that kind of stuff, it's all in there, and you're not getting raked over the coals and so on. Okay. Nope. So I was a beta tester. I was actually a long time user of Infusionsoft. I have used every CRM under the sun. I don't actually love Go High Level, but it's the best thing that's going right now. So do you have to do any of the coding or any of the setup? No. How does that work, Mr. Hyde?
I log in and go to work. Pretty much, what I do is I go in, I block off my calendar when for what I need. That's really, and I move them around from where they need to belong, under how I follow up with them, or won, lost, whatever. And that's all what I put into it. Yeah.
So you're not doing, so let's break this down again. So you're part-time, you're selling 350 policies in a 2-year span, basically 15 a month average. You're very heavy. You started off spending $25 a day. Now you're spending about $3,000 a month for everything, which includes virtual assistants, CRM, and leads. Okay. You don't do your own marketing.
Nope.
And you don't have to worry about manipulating CRMs or doing any work whatsoever behind the scenes.
Zero.
The only thing you have to do is worry about
making calls,
selling people. You got it.
Yep.
And then you do your own accounting as well. So those are really the things that you spend your time, which is very limited because you do have that full-time job of working roughly 70 hours a week. And you're putting, what'd you say, 50 to 60 hours a week? Was it 60 hours a week?
55, 65 hours a week into that. And then about 20, 25 hours a week in this.
60 full-time and 20 part-time as an agent. You just don't have time to do all that stuff. It's almost impossible if you're a part-time agent, unless you happen to know how to do pretty crazy lead generation to be able to pull all this off as a part-time agent. And so many agents come into this with great intentions, with no plan, and they fail. And they do because they can't do it all. I mean, it is just impossible to do, in my opinion, if you're part-time. It's difficult enough if you're full-time. And you're actually selling full-time numbers working part-time. That's what I think is so important. Do you use the CRM for recording your phone calls?
Yes. All the phone calls are recorded in the CRM. Yep.
Yeah. And so in our office, we take those calls and we actually store them into a separate CRM to make sure that we have them for 10 years, but you have them. I don't know if you do that, but we do that.
Actually, after our last training seminar, I went out and got a 2 terabyte hard drive, and now I just move everything into the 2 terabyte hard drive into a folder under each client's name so that I know they're there no matter what.
How do you do scope of appointments then?
All my scopes of appointments are verbal.
Oh, verbal. So do you ever get signature scope of appointments?
I do not.
Okay. We do in our office. We sometimes do them signature where we send them a text message. They sign off on it. It comes right back in. It goes right into our drive. We have some agents that do that. My brother's an agent in California. That's what he does. He uses the same system that you're using, except he just gets signatures. Most of our agents out there are just doing verbal scope of appointments, which is approved by CMS. And so you just go right into that at the beginning of your presentation.
Yep, it's
just
in the script.
Word for word in the script. So you don't have to worry
Yep.
about it. Exactly. Yep. So you don't really have to do a lot of thinking.
Man, that kind of hurts a little bit, but yeah, no, I don't.
I was going to make a Marine comment in there somewhere.
No, that's exactly what I was thinking. It's Marine proof.
Well, funny you mentioned it's Marine proof. But again, the whole system was designed based on my experience in the Marine Corps, and when it really hit me bluntly was well before I was planning the inauguration for Obama's second inauguration. And I dealt with thousands and thousands of people who all have these government jobs. And it was very difficult to get everybody to go in this direction because everybody wants to go this direction. It really changed how I viewed people and organizations and how I, did things without going into detail. And so when I got into Medicare, I failed miserably. I would love to tell everybody I came out of the gate shooting and I was making it and so on. I'm going to fast forward to the whole thing. I had some income. I was able to, because I'm retired, I have money coming in. My wife does work. She has a good job as a teacher. So we were fine. We were at least feeding our family. But I was able, because I had that money, just like you have that job, I was able to continue going on. And I made lots and lots of mistakes because I had nobody to teach me. And I won't get into that whole thing about the would-be teachers out there. It's why I started this page, why I'm doing these interviews, because there's so many new agents that were just like me and like you, but you had a radically different experience than I had because you had the system laid before you. So bottom line is the system is been made that we do through thousands of mistakes that I've made. And in the Marine Corps, we run into a tree and we work our way around it into the next tree that we run into. And so we've just made mistake after mistake after mistake, and we figured it out. And you're one of the beneficiaries of that. Yeah, I make money, of course, because I'm making an override, but I reinvest a large chunk of that back to you to help your business so that I can make more money. And that's the relationship that upline should have, with their downline. Do you ever work a T65 lead list and cold call?
No, don't do any cold calling.
I couldn't think of a bigger waste of time. I know some agents do it successfully, but for me, I'm looking for guaranteed, predictable results. I know that if I'm at a 12% close rate of leads and I get 100 leads in this month, that I'm going to have 12 sales. I don't know that if I call 100 T65 people, that I'm going to get 12 sales. But if that worked for you, then I would say do it. That being said, we have a list of every T65 in the United States for the next several years, and we give those leads to our agents as they want to. If they do seminars and all that kind of stuff, we give them all the leads they can handle. Those aren't really leads. Those are just data points. But if you need a mailing done for you, T65 seminar or whatever, that's where those come from. And so we literally have every single T65 in the United States and Puerto Rico as well, and DC. So we know how many there are nationwide, and it's a pretty staggering number. Where do I get those lists? Because everybody asks me. The bottom line, I have a really good source for those lists, and I don't ever give it up. So it's very expensive, but it's what upline should be doing, I think, for their downlines. Thoughts on a new agent doing retail a couple times a week? Would you do retail? Would I think what they mean by retail is setting up like a booth or something?
Yeah. Yeah, I would do it. I just, full-time, I would definitely do it. Part-time, I just don't have the time. I've got, so much going on with my full-time job, my family, and this. But full-time, I would definitely set up shop. Listen, we have a huge Oktoberfest party here in Cape Coral, actually, at the German American Club. And there's tents everywhere. There was a Humana tent there last year. And I went up and started talking to the agents. They were captive agents for Humana. And I started getting into them and how many they sell. And I kind of giggled at the number because it was, lack of a better term, it was pretty weak. So I would love to set up tents and things like that. But that right now, I'm just not where I can do that. But yeah, eventually, I'm definitely going to be doing things like that. I think it's a good investment.
So that question, thoughts on a new agent doing retail a couple times a week? I do it every day. You either have time or money. If you have money, you can buy leads and things can happen pretty quick for you if you have a good lead source. If you don't have money, and so many don't, you have time, hopefully, and you should set up lots of events. We do our events locally as well. We just did one a couple of days. We did 2 last week. And I think we walked out with a total of about 45 leads from that.
Yeah.
And if you have to pay for a booth, get a carrier to pay for the booth. They'll do it for you. You might have to schlep their products or whatever, but a lot of times they'll pay for it. I mean, there's a place we do a thing every year where the local sheriff's department, a couple counties just north of us, they do a night out thing. And it is nothing for us. I think they charge like $500 a tent. I'll get one of the carriers to pay for it, and we'll get 60, 70 leads out of that thing. And we absolutely will then, place them with that carrier if we can. We still try to maintain that fiduciary responsibility to the client, but all things being equal, we're going to, kind of move them in that direction, that carrier. But we had a great relationship with all of our carrier reps, and particularly Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield. We have a great relationship with them, and they've helped us out a lot, and we've helped them out a lot. Trust me, I know how much money I bring into them, and it's worked out well. So yes, you absolutely want to have a great relationship with your carrier reps, and you definitely want to get out there and work the local area. I'm a big proponent of using that high school football analogy, right? You want to win your conference. You want to win that local region, and you want to dominate and not let anybody even come close to beating you. And nobody where I live can beat us if I don't want them to, because I'll have to spend more money than they will. They just have no chance whatsoever. And, bluntly, we know everybody here. Like, we're the local people, I couldn't go to your neighborhood and do that, because who the heck am I where you live in Coral, But then I think you need to win your region. And then I think you need to win the state championship.
Yeah.
I'm working on the state championship right now. So if you're in Virginia, you might want to come because it's not going to go well in the near future in terms of lead generation. I won't get into that. But so yes, work your local area. How were you able to advance your states? Like, you had one state, you didn't have a ton of money. How did you just buy a bunch of states at one time, or?
Well, I tell you, what I did was I went on Nipper. I highlighted all the states. The bill came up. I was like, heck no. And I just went for all the cheap states.
Yeah.
I started out West Virginia, because that's where we focused at, because we were doing decent plans. And I was West Virginia, Virginia, Florida. And then as I got money, the first year, every cent that I brought in went back into my business, buying additional states and buying more leads and things like that. I really didn't put any money spend any money outside of my business for the first year. I reinvested everything just so I could expand and try to be successful. It was hard because sometimes you have a good month, you wake up on that Friday morning, oh, that's a good chunk of change in my account. Oh, my Jeep needs new parts. But nope, had to be disciplined, and nope, I got to go buy 3 or 4 more states, and that's what I did.
Can you add states? Because people are brand new as agents. Can you add, talk about this Nipper experience? So you add every state all in time, or you can just pick and choose? Can you buy a different state any time of the year?
So you buy states pretty much whenever you want. Some states, they renew the end of the month on your birth months, no matter when you sign up. So for me, if I sign up on August 1st, I'd have to renew at the end of the month. I think there's like 2 states that do that, but usually it's a year out. But yeah, you can buy any state you want. And I just started picking and choosing. And then if I had a lead in a state I wasn't licensed in, and it was going to be a sale, I'd talk to the guy, and I'd be straight up, hey, listen, I got to get licensed in your state. Give me 4 or 5 days to get it pushed through, and I'll call you back and we'll close the deal. Okay, no problem. And then I'd go buy that state, call the guy back, close the deal. And I know the commission for that sale was going to reimburse me for buying that state. And that's kind of how I just started going about it.
And that may or may not be 100% compliant, but we won't go there.
Oh, oops. I meant don't do that.
This is brought to you by Ricky Bobby Inc. Just kidding. Do you think you would have had, this is a question from somebody on Facebook, do you think you would have had as much success if you've had, if you just stayed in your own state? In other words, licensed in Florida only? No.
Well, it's hard to say, but probably not. Probably not. Because I mean.
Like, why?
Yeah, Florida's, just like Florida's probably pretty saturated with Medicare agents. We are a pretty big retirement state.
Florida than there probably is in the rest of the country.
There you go. So, and then, you're just opening yourself up from, I don't know, population numbers, but let's say Florida's got a population of 100. You open up more states, that just increases the population that you can market to and sell to.
Yeah. Mr. Fromm, Nipper, NIPR, I don't even know what it stands for. Just Google it. It's where, or you could do Circon, and that's where you would get additional licenses. I think Nipper is a little bit cheaper, but everybody in our agency typically uses Nipper if they can, or randomly some Circon stuff. Yeah. So I think, especially in Florida, which can be a very challenging environment, there's most of the CMS rules come from Florida over the years. Like, Florida's got a lot going on down there. Nothing's wrong with Florida. I feel I could go to Florida and compete. I'd love to just park in Orlando myself for about 7 or 8 months, and I would kill it personally. but I have a lot of experience to do that. So, very good plans in the Orlando area. Great question. So let's back up real quick. So you have leads coming in, and what do and you're working and sleeping and at some point selling another 20 hours a week. What do your virtual assistants do for you that you're not doing?
They set my appointments. They answer questions that are coming in from the leads, and setting my appointments. And sometimes, if I'm not busy and I've got leads coming in, sometimes I'll chime in, but I try to leave them alone to do what they do, and they're very good at it. Very good at it.
Yeah. So what we do is so another way of putting it is you get a pre-qualified appointment that should be in theory ready to buy on your calendar, and then you pick up the phone using the CRM, which is a recorded line, and you follow a presentation that I essentially gave you.
Correct.
And you're an independent agent.
I'm an independent agent.
And I don't pay you.
I've got all that. You don't pay me anything.
You got it. And you're not an employee, and I haven't paid you. Okay, that's how we do it. All right. Now, that system is not available for everybody. I have known Kevin for a long time. He's a Marine, and I take care of Marines, Semper Fi. Right?
Semper Fi.
Is what it is. Is the $50 per day ad spend paid up front, or does it come out of your commission? I mean, well, we bill every month on a monthly deal. There is no contract. If you want to leave, you leave. No one ever leaves. But I have kicked people out. But there's an expectation of production in my mind. There's not an unlimited amount of good quality leads that you can get out there. So that's why I don't let everybody in the system. I have more people wanting in the system than I could care to have. So I don't truly allow it. But however the money comes out. Your pocket. Where does the money comes out now from your revenue that you're bringing in, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Was it hard to cash flow in the beginning, or?
It was the first few months, but to be honest, after the third or fourth month, you start to get in a rhythm. There's nothing more terrifying than my first call. I remember like it was yesterday. Probably the only call that I can remember almost verbatim, because it's your first call, and it was slightly terrifying. But after that, first month, I think I did 3. And then my next month was 5. And then the next month was like 2. And I was like, it's going okay. And then my fourth month, boom, it was 12. And then it was 15. And then it stayed right around there until AEP rolled around. So then I had, that extra money coming in, and the buying leads wasn't as difficult. And now really my renewals pay for my leads.
Yeah,
so I get my renewals in, and that pretty much pays for everything else. And then my new commissions, I could use that for additional marketing or for Jeep parts. I don't know.
It goes to truck for your daughters. Okay.
Yeah, right. Or hey, she needs something for school. Here you go. What you got?
What is gas per gallon down there? Like $5 a
Oh
gallon?
man, it was $3.29 when I was in Tennessee, and I got back to Florida. It was it's $3.80 now.
Lovely.
Yeah.
It's gonna get expensive with this hurricane, I'm guessing.
Yeah, probably.
What are your goals for the future when it comes to selling insurance? Your short, your mid, your long term. What are your goals now moving forward?
Short term for me is AEP, have a very successful AEP. I'd like to I'd say I'd like to hit the numbers that I've had the last couple of years, but I want to exceed those. I want to try to get over 100 for AEP. That would be what I'd be considered a successful AEP.
There you go.
My midterm goal is to go full time. I've been doing this now 2.5 years. I'm definitely ready, experience wise and knowledge wise, to go full time, but it's scary. You're going to lose your full time revenue stream, is coming in every 2 weeks. But at the same time, sometimes you got to jump off that diving board to kind of give yourself that extra push.
Yeah. If you were full time, would you think 100 during AEP is a reasonable number or more?
I would say very reasonable. And if I was full time, I would probably want to try to double that for AEP, honestly.
There you go. And would you say that 100 for an agent with a full-time job doing this part-time is hard or easy to do during AEP?
It's somewhere in between. I wouldn't say it's extremely hard. It's not easy by any means, because you have to be very disciplined. You have to put the time and effort into it. But if you do put the time and effort into it and you're getting the quality leads, you should be able to do it. No problem. And then my long-term goals, honestly, is to build an agency, have agents underneath me, and kind of follow your business model. If I'm being honest, you're very successful and you've been a great mentor to me. And I kind of want to build, something that you have. I don't think I can get to the level you're at anytime soon, but to just have a few agents underneath me and be able to mentor them like you have me and build something successful, I think would be huge.
Yeah, no, and we're going to help you do that. We actually have an agency builder program because I just can't talk to everybody. And is what it is there. What advice can you give to an agent, whether they're new or whatever, that's struggling to get sales? What advice can you give from your experience here now?
Man, there's so much. These are the old Jim Valvano speech, never give up, right? But if you still have to have good routines in place, I think that's the biggest thing. You got to be persistent. You have to be consistent. Find a routine that works. You're gonna have to experiment a little bit, but when you find something that works, stick with it. In the first 45 seconds of every phone call that I have is pretty much scripted. I say the same thing every time.
Well, let's back up right there, because you're hitting home run, and I don't normally give this away, but I'm going to give away $1 million right now, literally. Say what you just said again. Well,
the first 45 seconds of every phone call is scripted, and I say the same thing every single time. I don't even need to look at the sheet anymore. It's just rattle it off. And if you find that consistency, you're going to find success,
Yeah. So the first 4 or 5, or did you say 45?
45 seconds.
There you go. Okay. Yeah. So when we train people here in our office or independent agents, a lot of times, it is nothing for me to spend an hour or 2 hours on the first 2 sentences, because you have to get that introduction right. It has to be, I won't go into it now, but it is vital. And you have to get it down. You have to have certain tonality and pitch and all this kind of stuff to really get it down. But frankly, at the end of the day, it is Medicare. People are still going to talk to you, even if you're just bad at it. This is what I like about Medicare is it is so confusing for people. You just have to be a good educator. You don't have to have a lot of raw sales ability, but if you have a lot of effort, you can make a lot of money.
Yeah. And I'll say another thing is, and this is the one that I've found to be really helpful. Just be genuine with people. If you don't know the answer, don't make something up. Let them know. Hey, I don't know that. That's a great question. I don't know that answer. I said that a lot in the beginning because I didn't know everything, but I'd always come back with the answer. Google is your friend. You find a lot of the stuff on cms.gov or whatever, a lot of the answers to your questions there. But just be genuine with people and let them know you're there to help. And sometimes helping them is just reassuring them that they're in a good plan, And again, like I said at the very beginning, a lot of those people will call me back later or send me referrals because they know that I have their best interest in mind. I'm not just there to try to push them into a plan to make money. And it goes a long way. You just being genuine with people.
Okay. This is coming from a Facebook user again, but I'm going to ask it in 2 different ways. The first one is a little bit back ago, you said your first phone call, you just had a lot of anxiety, maybe fear. Describe that, will you? Because I went through it. Everybody does their first time. Like, describe it.
Well, it's your first phone call. You're going to get questions that are going to test your knowledge. It was a dual eligible beneficiary that I was talking to. So you're trying to answer his questions about Medicare and D-SNP plans and Medicaid questions. And the gentleman I was talking to was very hard of hearing, so he's screaming into the phone. And
he was what?
Screaming. And I remember, he had we were going through his different options, and we were trying to list his medications, and he had to get up to get his medications, and he was in a lot of pain because he had just had hip surgery. So he's screaming, and he sat down, and then we got all that taken care of, and we were going to sign him up, and I was asked him to get his red, white, and blue card. He had to get up again, and he just started cursing, and I was like, oh my God, I think I just lost him. But at the end of the day, I didn't. He was just upset because he was in pain. But it's just, you don't know what to expect that first time. And after that, the second call was a lot easier. Third call, easier than that one.
So do you have any anxiety about calling people now?
0.
How many people have you called in 2 years? Guess, I wouldn't even know, but I could find
thousands, a couple thousand probably, at least.
Okay, so now you're touching on something that I think so many people, how many leads does it take for you to do this? Do you have any idea?
No. I bet you do.
About anywhere from 200 in a bad month to 500 in a good month for you.
Yeah.
That's right. And, bluntly, you're not paying for all those. You're getting a lot of them from us, but I'm doing that because I'm getting production. So that's why I will match, as an agency owner or as an IMO, I have no problem giving you leads because I know I'm going to get money out of those leads. At the end of the day, it's a handshake deal that we have. We don't have a contract, right? Nope. I don't do any kind of long-term commitments because what am I hiding behind? Some legal paperwork, So I just don't do it. I don't know, Mr. McDowell here. So yeah, it takes a lot of leads for an agent to really make it. And that is the toughest part. I was talking to an agent the other day. They said their upline screwed them out of 15 leads. I'm thinking, you're bitter over 15. I mean, I'd be bitter too, but I don't know about 15 leads. Like, how many, you get 15 leads a day for crying out loud.
Yeah, there's some days where every time I get a lead, it pops up in my email. And there are days I wake up and boom, there's 20, 30 in there. And let's
Yeah,
go.
you do like
Let's go.
7 one day. I mean, we
Yeah.
get many leads sometimes. I just give them away because I got to do something with them. So, it is what it is. Let's go to the human side of things real quick, because we're talking about money. We're talking about closing rates. We're talking about percentages. We're talking about what does it give you to when you help these, like you're helping people, and we all help people in Medicare. I like to talk in numbers more than anybody. I can get into that, but at the end of the day, it all means BS, because it truly just comes down to helping people. And have you
100%.
You help people?
Listen, I've helped a lot of people. I had a guy last week that I moved from one plan to another because he needed some major dental work, and his dental bill was about $7,000. He couldn't afford it, and that was after his MAPD paid for what he needed done. He had to come out of pocket. $7,000 is what he was quoted. And there was a plan in his area through Cigna who's really stepped up, $20,000 in dental. And he gets everything through the VA. So for him, it was just, I need something that's going to give me good dental benefits. And we got him moved over to that plan. And the guy was tearing up on the phone and said, I was sent from God. He said, matter of fact, he said his God is a great God, and his God put me in his path to help him, and he thanked me, and it makes you feel good at the end of the day. And you know what, if I wouldn't switch a person like that just to switch them, like there was a reason to switch him, because it was the best plan for his needs, and that's what we put him in. Maybe when he was put on the other plan, it was the best plan at that time, but now things change. And we moved him over so that he could get his mouth taken care of. But I told him there's, with that plan, there's going to be copays, this and that, but it's not going to cost you $7,000. And he was very thankful, and you get a lot of the people that you talk to that are just, hey man, really thanks, appreciate it. They're just looking for something that's going to give them a little bit more money back or this and that. But then you have people that genuinely need help. And those are the ones that, when you can help people like that, it means a lot. It makes you go home at the end of the day and feel good about yourself, that you're out there actually helping people, making a difference in their lives.
Yeah. I mean, I can think of two for me. In one story, I didn't make any money whatsoever. It was an HIV patient, and she was taking a medication that was that was $15,000 a month or something crazy.
Oh.
And this was in the Virginia Beach area. And I couldn't help her, but I couldn't stop thinking about this person as a human being. And so I made some phone calls to some people I know. We got her in touch with a medical school down there, which happened to be very close to her house. She doesn't have a car. I mean, it's just a bad situation. It won't go into her deal. But bottom line, she had HIV and needed medication, or she was going to die. And we were able to get her into that medical school. I didn't sell her any plans. I didn't make any money, but I just couldn't stop thinking about this person. And what I did is I got her in touch with the medical school. They had her come in. I don't want to say experiment, but they wanted to help her, and she would be like a student for all the student doctors, and not experimental medication or anything, but she's getting her health care through this medical school from these doctors in training, and they're giving her free medications. And she's still there to this day. That was 4 or 5 years ago at this point. I call her every so often, but it's not about the money all the time. I mean, for me, I definitely can focus on the money, and I think we all can, and it's important. We got to pay our bills, but the true focus has to be here, in your heart. And that's where the money comes from. You know, it's not from, the numbers stuff. It's great, but if you want to be a numbers type person, you have to be, I think, but it truly has to come down to people and having people in your heart. And I think it's the same thing for agents, for downline agents and your upline. I have a wonderful relationship and partnership with the people I work with, and with you and all of our agents for the most part. So it's why I don't do contracts. I mean, it just, if you want to go, then by all means leave, but I know it just won't happen because it never happens. So let's move on here. We're going to get to the end. What advice would you give to a new agent starting out? I've seen a few questions like that, and I had it on the little questionnaire thing I had ready for you. What advice would you give? Man,
just be able to manage your time. Don't take it personal. That was my biggest one, outside of time management. Don't take it personal when you get rejected. And just every day try to learn as much as you can. Be genuine with people. Don't listen to the noise is probably a good one, because you kind of hit it earlier. And a lot of people, new agents, we see it. They join these social media groups and things like that. You've got people in there talking about how great they are, patting themselves on the back. And then you're looking at yourself like, man, I can't do that. I'm a failure. No, don't listen to the noise. Block it all out. Do you, and you'll be fine. But at the end of the day, you're gonna hear no. You're gonna hear it no a lot more than you're gonna hear yes. It's like playing baseball. You can get 3 hits every 10 at bats, you're a Hall of Famer, but you fail 7 times, right? In this business, same thing. You're going to fail more than you succeed. Calling failure just a no or a rejection. But if you stick with it, you'll hit your stride. You'll do fine.
Yeah. I mean, I personally, coming from my background as an officer in the Marine Corps, nobody ever told me no, ever. And when I got involved in the insurance business and in Medicare, and I did final expense and all that, isn't the first time in my life I was getting a lot of no's, and I struggle with it. I would stay up the first year, as I said, I struggled with this, and some of it was transitioning out of the military and so forth. But I remember one night it was like midnight or something. I'm staring at the ceiling of my bed, and I had sold somebody early in the morning, and I made a really good commission. It was about $1,000. Okay. But I probably talked to 25 people that day, and all except for one told me no. And for some reason, for about a year, and that day included, I always just focused on the rejection and never on the positives. And for me, my turning point was I was sitting in bed looking at my ceiling, and I feel like a failure. I mean, nobody ever told me no in the past, and these people told me no all day long. I just started thinking to myself, well, what's the positive? Well, the positive is I made $1,000, and it just hit me like, dude, you just made $1,000 today. If you did that every day, you make, I made more money in 1 hour than a household makes in a week in America. And you have the ability to do that in this business. And I was a rookie in those days. Now it's nothing for me to do, when I'm really selling 3, 4, 5 a day, if I really want to, on a good day. And I know you've had those days. What's your highest total sale day?
7.
What's your lowest?
0.
Have you had a lot more zeros than sevens?
Oh, a ton more 0s and 7s.
Have you a lot more zeros than ones?
Yep.
Yeah. It's hard. The mental aspect, I call it mental state management. I think that's the hardest thing for everybody. Because, man, if you're at a 7% closing rate and you're focusing on the 93 like I did, it's a long, tough road full of anxiety and difficulties. But the truth is, you can become a millionaire on those 7 people.
Yeah,
that's the truth. And it's just, for me, it's at this point, how many times can I buy 100 leads? If I can do it every day, I'm going to get to that million quicker. And, I mean, that's the truth. Do you think, by the way, that not to get into, that you in this business could be a millionaire at some point?
Absolutely.
How long do you think, based on your numbers and all that, if you went full time in this deal, how long would it take you to get there, would you say?
Oh, I'm not very good at math, but if I was full time, I would say I could probably get there in 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, 5 years. I would say 5 years. 3 is a tough one. You'd really have to, really do it. But I think 5 years is reasonable. May sound unrealistic, especially if you're brand new coming out of the gate. But have you ever had this experience where in the beginning you were, let's move it more towards now, where people just say to you, man, Kevin, I've talked to 10 other agents and you really know what you're talking about.
All the time.
Why is that? Like, I know what I want to say, but I want to get you to say it. So how did this happen?
Man, I don't think I have the magic answer you're looking for, but just studying and learning and asking questions, you learn things. And you know what? Even talking to my clients with the experience they've had, I'll give you an example. I talked to a client that had TRICARE for life. And I didn't close the deal with them, but I picked their brain. They were on a MA only plan, had TRICARE for life, and I just kind of, do you mind if I ask you a couple questions? Yeah, no problem. And I picked their brain, what their experiences was with their current plan and how it worked with TRICARE for life. They had any problems, any roadblocks, questions through their doctors and things like that. And so I kind of educated myself through a lead, and just learning, taking those learning moments and then rolling them into being able to answer questions.
Well, did you ever get the answer to the question? I'll lead it a little bit. Did you ever get that kind of phrase from somebody when you first started selling? Like, man, you really know what you're talking about.
At the beginning?
Yeah. No. And so the difference between then and now is
experience.
Reps. You got to get reps, right? You got to get at bats, whatever the phrase, you got to get repetitions. And there's only one way to get that. And that is how?
Dialing the phone.
Getting a whole bunch of leads and talking to as many people as you can. Just like in any job, you just get better at it.
Yep.
There is nothing better or more complimentary than when you get to that point in your career doing this in your business where somebody says that to you. We get it all the time here. And the reason why that happens is because there's so many agents that come for 6 months or less. They get licensed. They're pushed by these call centers. They don't know anything. They're just pushy. They can't answer any questions other than what they've been taught on some, regurgitating some basic information. And they can't get in depth on anything. They have no idea. And when you get a couple of years, especially I would say 3 AHIPs, that's where the magic is that I've seen. 3 AHIPs. you're pretty darn good. And what I tell agents all the time that are brand new is, how do you really learn this crap? Get the Medicare and You book, put it in your bathroom, and instead of looking at your cell phone on Facebook, look at that book. I mean, read that thing truly, and I'm kind of joking a little bit, but read that thing in and out over and over and over. I read it all the time. It's super boring. I know most of it by heart at this point, but that's where you can get a lot of information. The Medicare and You book, just download it. You can Google it. It's right out there, and it'll tell you all you need to know. Matter of fact, that's how I developed our seminars. When I do our in-person seminars, it comes from the Medicare and You book. It's accurate information, and I get it right out of there. So let's kind of wrap it up here. What would you say is the toughest thing when selling insurance?
Hearing no.
Okay.
For me, that was the toughest. It's different for everybody. Some people might be getting leads, things like that. But hearing no at the beginning, really, like you said, you dwell on the no's and don't really celebrate the yeses,
Yeah.
And that turns a lot of people off. I've had a lot of friends in the insurance business that lasted a couple months just because they kept hearing no, and they didn't stick with it.
Another phrase is, you didn't quit.
Don't quit.
It's just, I put that thing out there a few weeks ago about flipping cards, literally flipping cards over. And that whole thing is so true. There's 52 cards, you flip them over, you pay me for every $1 for every card, but I'm going to pay you $25 for every ace. You just don't know where the 4 aces are in this deck of 52 cards, but they're in there. And it's no different than in Medicare. Those aces are in every lead somewhere. Somewhere they're in the stack of leads. You just, as long as the numbers work out, you can make it work for you, because it just becomes about putting more money in as you get more money and growing your business. And that's how I did it. And that's how a lot of people have done it, right? Awesome. Any questions that you may, there was a question, how do you learn all these plans in each state? What carriers do you prefer to work with? What carriers? Do you have a favorite carrier one way or another, or carriers?
I have a favorite carrier based on frequency of payment, but that's about it. Honestly, when somebody's looking at or talking to me, I'm looking for carriers that have nothing to do with it. I look at the plan in black and white, and is it the best fit for them?
There you go. So
and that's really how I do it.
Client, you don't really give a rat's butt about the carrier. Your job is to help people. Okay.
Yep. And when it comes to I don't. I'll talk to somebody in Virginia one day, and talk to a guy in California, talk to a guy in New York, New Jersey. I don't know all the plans, but as you get more and more experience, you kind of tend to know what pretty much Cigna's offering, what Humana's offering, what's United offering. And then, using your enrollment platform, you line them up side by side, you're asking the client the questions, and you're going through the summary benefits with them, and you're going to figure out which plan is best for them. You don't have to be an expert on every plan in every area, but you need to be able to decipher the summary benefits and apply that to what they need.
But you're doing, let's call it a needs analysis, like we're supposed to do. You're finding out what the client needs, and then you're going to spend some time. If you don't know the plans in that person's area, you're going to hump it and basically waste some time probably, but you're going to find the plan that
and usually part of the time management is, I've got a few minutes before the call, I've got their zip code as part of the lead, and I'm kind of pre-screening some of the plans, MAPD, MA only, PDP plans, things like that, so that you kind of know what you're getting into. Now, that's not always the case. Sometimes you're getting off the phone late with somebody and you're rolling right into the next call, and you got to kind of wing it. But yeah, you can stall them out a little bit and just let them know, hey, I'm comparing a few different plans here. Based on what you tell me, I'm going to eliminate a couple of them. A couple of them might have, they might really need good dental. So you're going to eliminate the plans that have crappy dental, or you might eliminate, they want over the counter. So you're going to eliminate the plans that don't have very good over the counter. And then you help them make their decision based on what's left.
Yeah. We're getting a lot of questions here from Facebook and some on LinkedIn here and YouTube. Where do you get your best ROI, organic or paid leads?
Paid
leads. Yeah, I think it could also be TOI, time of investment, right? And return on investment. I think it depends on what you have available.
And listen, I think I told you this last week, I've done a couple little things too, just for local marketing, where I bought, 400 pens from, I can't remember, the Pro Shop, that asked me about Medicare. They have my name and my phone number on it. And I work in a restaurant. So guess who I give the pens to? My servers, because pens get stolen. And I take them to all the other restaurants that our franchise owns in the area, and drop off 200 at every restaurant, 100 there, 100 here. And I've gotten 3 or 4 phone calls from them. If I close 2, that pays for my pens and then some, So little things like that.
Are you giving all away our secrets right now? Did you say something about our Pro Shop?
I don't know what you're talking about.
So, okay. Tell everybody what the Pro, because I never even talk to anybody. I mean, I get agents that ask me stuff all the time. To a man, never mention the Pro Shop, but go ahead and tell everybody what the Pro Shop does for you.
Pro Shop is just branding, marketing and branding, koozies, business cards, refrigerator magnets, pens. You upload your logo, your information. They can print it on anything, T-shirts,
Yeah.
collared shirts, whatever you want. And, you can do whatever you want. There you go. Boom.
Right off the
And
Pro Shop so we have a Pro Shop set up for you where you can go purchase. And would you say you're paying a premium price or you're paying an at cost type price?
no, because I paid definitely closer to an at cost type price.
Yeah, we don't make
with the
any
Pro
money
Shop.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
Actually, I pay a membership for this whole thing. Do you get charged shipping for that and handling?
Nope. Free normal shipping, whatever you call that. Yeah.
Merry
And
Christmas.
it's quick. It's quick. The 400 pens I ordered, I got in less than a week. So it's quick.
Yeah. So bottom line, agents can go on and get branded stuff. They can plug their own brand in. They can use our brand. That's how we're doing it. That's how he does it. And now, in full disclosure, I do not make money off of that because I don't believe in nickel and diming every agent to death. So I can put more money in my pocket. I want one goal and one goal only, and that's you to take your money and put it right back in your pocket through sales, which then I benefit from because I'm getting more override, right? I mean, that's the relationship we have. Here's a great question from a Facebook user. What is the average time that you spend on a phone call with somebody? Like,
No, I mean, starting out, yeah, they could get pretty long, especially when you're looking at people that are dual eligible, because there's a lot more to go over.
right.
But for your average everyday Medicare, if I'm closing, a half hour, but usually if you're not closing, 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes.
So you get on the phone, you qualify them, find out if they're going to buy one way, shape, or another. If you're not, you're getting off the phone and going to the next person.
Right.
And if you think they're going to buy, you'll stay on with them for 2 hours.
Yep.
There you go.
And
That's a fair way.
the best part is I get on my my keyboard and I send a message to my virtual assistant. Hey, can you move so-and-so? This call's running along. No problem. And that's solved as well. So you don't have to worry about upsetting the next person because you missed an appointment.
Okay, now we're talking some efficiency stuff. I know we're way over time, and I appreciate. Are you okay talking a little bit longer or no?
We'll do a little bit longer.
Well, okay, here's a question. Do you use Zoom calls? This will be the last question. Do you use Zoom calls as your clients as part of your meetings, or is it just all over the phone? No.
It's all over the phone.
You've never used Zoom?
I have never used Zoom personally, not for a client call, no.
Awesome. Well, Kevin, man, I really appreciate you saying all this stuff. I think we've helped hopefully some agents out there. And I really appreciate you taking your time, energy, and effort. I know you probably got to get back to work or selling or whatever you got going on today. But do you have any last thoughts that you'd like to share?
Just keep at it, man. It's a good business to get into. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes energy. It's a grind. But once it starts rolling for you, it's so worth it. I mean, yeah, the money's good, but like we kind of talked about it earlier, helping people is probably the most rewarding part, because there's a lot of people out there that just don't know anything about Medicare, and you're just educating them and helping them get into a better area as they age. And we all know as you age, healthcare becomes a lot more important.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it, man. And thanks for your time and efforts with everything. And keep grinding, brother.
Okay. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Have a good one.
All right, you too. Bye, guys.